This is Justin's Room, Our Stories to Tell, every third Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Info on future and past events, registration, playlist, and donation opportunity is available at bit.ly/Justin's-room. J and R are capitalized. Our registration link is at bit.ly/register Justin, R and J capitalized. This is co-sponsored by Disability History and Culture Collective, DHACC, and the I Love You Lead On community. Next slide. Justin Dart and his wife Yoshiko took road trips multiple times across the country, sitting with disabled people in every state to hear their challenges, successes, and hopes. They brought these powerful stories to Congress, helping to turn shared dreams into the Americans with Disabilities Act. Bring your words, your poems, your art, your dance, your music or video, whatever feels right for you. About 8 minutes, and hopefully you all will have some stories to tell. If you want to share, let us know ahead of time, or just come and join the Zoom. The mic will stay open as long as folks have something to say. Every story is welcome. Email leadon, capital L and capital O, at iloveyou-leadon.com. I-L-Y, L and O are capitalized. And again, the information on future and past events, registration, playlist, and donation opportunity is available at bit.ly/Justin's-room, J and R capitalized. Next slide. Tonight, hopefully we will have Dennis Phillips in the room this month to tell stories about Brad Lomax and the 504 sit-ins. Hopefully he will be here shortly. There is an illustration of Justin Dart. It's a line drawing of Justin from the shoulders up. He's wearing his signature hat. If you have not seen that, it has, it's not a cowboy hat, I don't think, but the brim is very much shaped like one. He's wearing his glasses down his nose and his signature bolo tie. And this is based on a photo by Tom Olin, drawn by Teddy. Next slide. This event is not to be recorded. This live session is being recorded by DHACC and I Love You Lead On for registered participants and those in our community. It will be shared directly with you. Please do not record, copy, or share this event yourself. If you see this recording anywhere other than our official emails or website or on our own YouTube channel, it has been shared without our permission. Next slide. Contact us for help or accessibility requests. If you need help accessing the event or want to request a voice option during the presentation, email us at leadon, capital L-O, at iloveyou-leadon.com. Again, I-L-Y-L-O are capitalized. Zoom etiquette and access. During the presentation, all Zoom attendees will be muted to support access and reduce background noise. If you need to use voice to communicate during the presentation, email us and we'll arrange a separate voice space just for that. After the presentation ends, we'll open up mics for conversation unrecorded, one voice at a time as usual. Chat comments will be read aloud to provide access. If you don't want chat read aloud, use our private message. Next slide. Accessibility info, ASL, is provided for the presentation and will be spotlighted. Auto captions are available and can be viewed on screen or as a transcript. In the Zoom toolbar, there's a CC option. If it is not there, click the 3 dots for more options and locate it there. The ability to show, hide, or adjust captions is there, as well as the option to view captions as a transcript. Next slide. A note about our ASL interpreter. In keeping with I Love You Lead On and DHACC's goal of making conversations about disability available and accessible to all, we invite our ASL interpreter to participate fully, asking questions and joining the discussion if and when they have them. Next slide. Justin's Room sessions are recorded. All Justin's Room sessions are recorded and will be available on our playlist within a few days with corrected captions and transcripts. You can find the playlist on the Justin's Room website at bit.ly/Justin's-Room, J and R capitalized. And we do have a QR code if that's a way that you are accessing information. Next slide. Help make this space accessible. I Love You Lead On community and all of its various projects are volunteer-led. We have a variety of ways you can support our efforts to provide full access. Our work includes the Disability History and Culture Collective, DHACC, this space, Deva's Room, Judy's Room, Justin's Room, and other events on the horizon. And you can donate at iloveyou-leadon.com/donate. ILYLO are capitalized. Next slide. You can join our email groups. Disability History and Culture Collective has 2 Google groups for disability-related conversations. DHACC Disability Museum, focused on museums, exhibits, and collections, formal, informal, or in progress, and Disability Advocates-Lead On for general disability community discussions, events, resources, and current issues. You may choose one or both, depending on your interests. For instructions and more information, you can visit https://bit.ly/DHACC, all caps, Google Groups. Google and groups are capitalized. Next slide. If you have an idea for a future Justin's Room, you can let us know your ideas. You can email leadon@iloveyou-leadon.com. You can put them in the chat. If you know of people we should be asking, please let us know. Next slide. I think that is the ending of the introduction.
Anybody have any stories to tell about 504 sit-ins? Whether you participated in one, whether you were impacted by one?
Sure, I could tell a story.
Great.
Shall
Go
I tell
ahead.
a story? Okay. I was in the planning meeting for the 504 demonstration at Center for Independent Living in Berkeley the day before the demonstration, and I asked the planners, Judy Heumann and Mary Jane Owen and Kitty Cohen, if anyone had thought about using music, and no one said they had not thought of that. And I said, well, that's something I could do and will do. And so I left the meeting to go, also bullhorn, because for the demonstration prior to going into the federal building, we needed to be heard. So I went and back to my office, found a bullhorn, got on a bus, went and rented the bullhorn, and then went home and got my Pete Seeger album and found a song that I thought would work well for the demonstration called Keep Your Eyes on the Prize, Hold On. So I, with bullhorn and guitar, the next morning went to the United Nations Plaza in front of the federal building and prepared to use the song and the bullhorn. So I led the chants and others led chants, and then we had a long program in which both Judy Heumann and Ed Roberts spoke, both of whom I had worked with at Center for Independent Living. And Ed spoke, then I played the song Keep Your Eyes on the Prize, and then we entered the building. And at the end of the first day, Judy Heumann came up to me and asked me if I'd brought my toothbrush. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And she said, well, we're not leaving, we're going to stay. Well, that had been discussed after I left the meeting. So I didn't have any idea that this was planned to be a a long-standing sit-in. And I had an infant son at home, was 5 months old, and I said, I've got to be home taking care of my son. I can't stay. Judy said, well, you'll need to come back early in the morning, the days that we're going to have a demonstration, so we can use your music. So I commuted to the demonstration. I would go during the day and bring music and use music with the demonstrators, but then go home. I was not one of the champions that spent 26 days there, but it was certainly a remarkable experience, including experiences with the Black Panthers. And I knew Brad Lomax quite well. And so that was that's my 504 story.
Well, I encourage you not to discount your participation, because I'm in the same boat as you. I could never stay, at demonstrations for ADAPT around the clock, mainly because I had a child with a disability, and he wasn't the same sex as I was, so couldn't risk arrest, and he didn't really understand the concept of being arrested, that it was okay to be arrested. So, I think one of the things that too often has gotten lost with ADAPT is that some of us can only participate in certain ways, and that doesn't make that participation any less than those that can really put their life on the line.
Yeah. Thank you. That's very gracious. I appreciate that.
Well, I've seen many of the 544 demonstration videos, and in fact, I use some of them to teach my classes about disability rights movement. And Jeff, you do appear in many of those YouTube 544 demonstration videos, you playing the guitar and also singing, and so it's just wonderful. And it's quite unfortunate that many schools don't talk about the disability rights movement. Things are changing right now, but the rate at which the wheel is turning is still very slow. And with the current anti-day thing, it's affecting again the advancement of disability history within the general curriculum. The current generation of youngsters are relatively less, what is the best word to use? They are less discriminative. They are more aware of disability, but I don't think majority are aware of disability rights movement, let's say, beyond college level. At P12, I think it would be great for them to be introduced to disability rights movement, just as we talk about civil rights,
yes,
women rights movement, gay LGBTQ rights movement, and any other movement. Let me leave it there.
Yes, I think you're right. Disability is very rarely mentioned.
Yeah. This is Sharon. I have to agree with you and thank you for bringing that up. I actually work on this in the K-12 space, though, with disability equality and education, because that's exactly right, is that we don't have disability represented. not to pit one group against another, but there are certain movements that we learn about, and you can get all the way through college and never have learned anything about
Yeah.
the disability rights movement. You can get to be
Yeah, that's right.
40 some years old before you realize that there's a community to be part of, and there's people who came before you and how it all fits together. And so we're working to change that so that disabled students and non-disabled can recognize that. Yeah.
Mm.
This is
Yeah.
Alice. I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee, and went to college many years ago to be a special educator. And it wasn't until many years later that I happened to live in Berkeley for 9 years that I learned some of this history. And so then when I moved to Knoxville after living there, I was able to bring some of the information to students at our Assistive Technology Center, but it's still not really coming to the forefront here. And even my colleagues in higher ed in our disability services office didn't know the history, even though they had come through programs. I have a question for you about what it was like. Did you play every day of the time that the federal building was taken over, or you came back and forth every day, or what were people outside continuing to mill around and support the people that were inside? If you could give us a little peek at what that seemed like.
I can't say that I played every day. I played every opportunity I had. I was the last or the only administrator at Center for Independent Living that wasn't deeply involved at the demonstration. And so I had grants to manage and responsibilities at CIL. So I did a little work there, and I would get on the bus and go to the federal building. And my name was on the readers list, or the attendance list rather. So because I appeared to be able-bodied at the time, I had low vision, but I didn't use a white cane, I was put on a list of those in support roles that were allowed to come and go. So that gave me an incredible access to go into the demonstration and leave unblocked any chance I wanted to. But there was a strong cadre of people that did work, that stayed outside the building. And I remember there was, once the phones were turned off and our lines of communication from the inside to the outside were cut off, a sign language interpreter would stand at one of the windows and work with an interpreter on the ground and sign and then reverse interpret to get communication back and forth. It was one of the ways that sign language really provided a surprising and wonderful, powerful tool for us. But I'm sorry, I forget the rest of your question. Have I answered what you were asking?
Yes. Yeah. So this is Alice again. So there was a crowd there every day for the 26 days? There were people coming and going, and were people let in the building?
No. Mm-hmm. No, once if you were inside the building initially and your name was on the list, you could not leave, but you were allowed to be there. I was one of the few people that could come and go. So there were I don't remember if there were people outside every day, but I think there probably were. And they would, someone would say, you can get a key to my apartment from my landlady, but please go in and get me some fresh clothes. And, because people were wearing the clothes they had arrived in. And so people would run errands, communicate, deal with matters of consequence that the demonstrators could not. but I remember going there on a Sunday, and there were probably half a dozen people outside. There were the count I've seen, the kind of history is settled on is 125 people were inside. And I don't know if that's an accurate number or not, but there were a lot of people. And in very rough circumstances. The nights I stayed there, I slept on a stairwell platform, just on the stone with an army blanket. So it was very rough for people who, and particularly people with disabilities that needed to be turned or had other life circumstances that required really skilled attendant work. And with or without the skill, people helped them, but it led to an awful lot of people not being very rested.
So this is Theo. I'm just curious, what was the driving motivation? Because you guys went against the grain, and I can't imagine, considering your population, you are relatively few, although a big population in terms of the turnout by people with disabilities. But what was the motivation, considering that you are fighting a system and a big system, the government,
Yeah.
and so I'm just wondering, what was the driving motivation?
The driving motivation was justice, and we understood the way that that law and regulations are supposed to work. According to I don't know what regulatory body, but the standard is that after a law is passed, 60 or 90 days before regulations are promulgated to give life and breath detail to what the law means. And in the case of 504, it had been passed with a congressional override in 1973. And now in 1977, there still were no regulations. And Judy Heumann, for example, had worked within the Senate and understood the way that the law development and promulgation of regulations are supposed to work. So I was a student of rehabilitation administration at University of San Francisco, and one of my professors had written both 504 and Title V of the Rehab Act. And during the demonstration, we held class. And again, that was one of the great benefits I had, was I was still able to attend my college classes, which were every 3 months for 9 days seminars. But I was going to the seminars, going to the demonstration, and sleeping in my own bed, which was an incredible boon. But I was able to take Jack Duncan, the man who was the executive. Let's see, he was the lead attorney for the Senate Select Committee, out of which came the laws. So he had written the laws. He was teaching us at San Francisco State, and he went to the demonstration and met the demonstrators that were working to get the regulations signed into law. That was pretty amazing.
Thank you. So the other thing that I'm just curious, because you guys were occupying the federal building, and it happened that it was not far away since the Brown versus Board of Education ratification and the Civil Rights High Court ratification. But still, I could see, and in fact, it was not also far away from the fighting that was going on in Vietnam. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious in terms of how you guys were dealing with the police, because I mean, by then the police tended to be very brutal. So I'm just curious.
It was very interesting, that idea, because the federal building, the federal police didn't want anything to do with us, because they were afraid they could, have to move someone by manually, a person that had a spinal cord injury, and they could injure them further. They did not want to be involved in a police action with us. And we had some extremely savvy people leading what we were doing, including Mary Jane Owen, who's gotten very little attention through the years. But she was involved I did her oral history, and in the 40s, she was involved with desegregating swimming pools in Los Angeles, and was at demonstrations where the police used fire hoses and broke plate glass windows, and she was cut by flying glass. And we really had a pretty easy go of it. There was very little struggle in that way. The police, the federal buildings folks were in the federal building was doing everything they could do to make it uncomfortable for us to be there. So they turned off the phones, they turned off electricity, they turned off the hot water, and at the same time, the community was being extremely supportive in a very patchy way. But I think it was the governor or the mayor. The mayor's committee might have been able to get a portable shower installed or brought into one of the restrooms.
The Black Panthers helped.
And the Black Panthers, the Black Panthers served as our food provider. They already had their community kitchens from their work in the community. So we were able to tap into that resource. And I remember one evening getting on an elevator and two impeccably dressed Black guys in shirts and ties, suits and ties, carrying a big, clean, new garbage can full of hot food. Were getting off of the elevator as I was getting on, bringing that evening's meal to the demonstrators. So it was, the community's support was remarkable. And as it turned out, in retrospect, after the demonstration, when we were thanking all the people that helped us, quite striking was no one in the special ed world or voc rehab world was there. It was really the community at large, but not the professional community that you would expect would have been there. Yeah.
Amen.
I'm also curious in terms of the successful demonstration that you guys had. But I'm curious, to what degree did that exposure lead to, I don't know whether Reagan was then the governor or Brown was the governor, but what led to Reagan take a different stance towards the disability rights movement by trying to cut down some of the benefits?
That's a good question. I'm thinking that Jerry Brown was governor, and he had a style that he would often name people from grassroots communities to work at the cabinet level of state government. So he selected Ed Roberts to be director of Voc Rehab, which was an enormous, unbelievable opportunity for us. So Ed became the first director of vocational rehabilitation with a severe disability. And his involvement and the rest of us that were involved, thanks to Ed, we really changed that system, and Voc Rehab opened up in a way to serve people with severe disabilities like Ed Roberts had. So it certainly had impact beyond California.
This is Alice. Dennis has joined us. He's called in. And,
oh, hey, Dennis.
So Jeff is giving some commentary. Dennis, do you want to tell us a little bit about your relationship in the 504 sit-in, and also who was there? Jeff's given us a little bit of information about how the Black Panthers came in the elevator with him with garbage cans full of food. So if you could tell us your experience, that'd be great. So this is Dennis Billups. He's joining us by phone.
Sorry, I had muted myself. Sorry about that.
Okay. Take it away.
Jeff, it's good to hear you.
Dennis, you too.
Man, oh man, we have to get together. Schedules have been full, though. Schedules have been full. Thanks for everybody for being here. It's an awful great pleasure. I got a lot of stories to tell about that one and what I've been through now. And I don't know if you knew that I just beat prostate and bone cancer.
Oh my God.
So I have been resting and relaxing and going out only to important meetings. I went to the 504 first meeting with Emily Viddix, and I did a thing with the Lighthouse. There's a lot of stuff coming up because the 50th anniversary of 504 is coming up. And I hear like there's going to be a lot of stuff going on. And so I'm just trying to rest because the thundering of cameras and all that stuff is coming upon us. So I just want to make you aware of all of that and that you know exactly what's going on. I'm pretty transparent. I'm not one of those guys that are like, I don't want to talk about this and all that. I don't want to talk. I'm pretty transparent if people really, really know me for the last 50 years or so. I was in the elevator with you too, I think at that time, if I remember, and turning around and listening to you at that time. Jeff, my role was not clear at 504. Should have recorded this. My girl, everybody's going to be mad at me. My role was not clear at 504. And the history I had of 504 was not minimum. My clearest vision was that I've worked with disabled persons since I was born, being born with a blind twin, and also worked with the Recreation Center and the Lighthouse for the Blind for a lot of years. But I was asked to go to 504 by a number of people, including my sister, the mayor, and other people, and they said that it would really make a difference if I went, and I decided I would go because I turned it down twice. I had worked at City College trying to put a library together and doing that kind of stuff. And I love the dean there. He was really a great man. I don't know if he's still alive now, but He didn't know what was coming because we really needed services at City College that people were coming into, and they didn't have a lot of resources there. Anyway, coming to 504, I got there in the morning. On the morning of 504, it was kind of cloudy and hazy and kind of windy, and never saw a lot of disabled persons in my life that were in wheelchairs, on crutches, canes, and everywhere. So I fitted in. They didn't even notice me as I slipped behind somebody and started listening to Kitty Cone and him and other people, Dave Washington. And we decided we were going in the building around 1 o'clock or 12:30 at that particular point. And we decided that we were going to stay there until either they took us out or arrested us. But they were not equipped to do that. And they were not going to hassle with a lot of disabled persons. This is the FBI. They're not known for doing the stuff that they're doing now. And they weren't known for people who were at the ADA whenever they finished what they were doing to book them and put their pictures in a book saying that they went to jail or they did something like that. I protest that because this is our house, this is not their house, and they have no right to do that. But that's another issue. So we went in the building. I don't remember how many people were there. There were a lot of people that were there. You can stop me if you have a question. And the thing that I started doing was singing, civil rights songs, the ones that I knew, No, We Won't Be Moved and All Aboard and all of the other songs that were available to my mind. And they were going to start talking about, the rights, and I just kept singing. And I think I broke, 3 or 4 canes at that particular point because I was hitting the floor, I was hitting the handle, and, trying to make a noise, that kind of stuff. And so I have to, be really resourceful during this time. And when I got tired of singing, and stuff like that, we started talking about civil rights, which I started talking about not only civil rights, but blind rights and things of that nature, and which a lot of disabled persons hadn't heard of. So there was a couple of blind people in the building with us. So we started talking about blind rights and then civil rights, and a lot of great people started talking, like Dave Washington and
Ron,
and there's a lot of people.
I think it was Ron Washington.
Ron Washington, yeah. Ron Washington started talking. And excuse me if I don't remember the full name. It's been a while.
Oh, it's all right.
And
Just for the record.
Yeah, good. No, that's good. Thank you. And you started talking, doing some stuff for a minute, and then we had to start singing again because people were getting messages saying that we'd get arrested. But we sang for so long, and we sang so loud, they didn't know what to do. So I started to make up some songs like "Hell No, We Will Not Be Moved" and other stuff like that. And so we started to gathering and then started to figure out what we're going to do now that we're here, how to become more organized. How can we feed ourselves, help ourselves, turn other people over? And my job was just going to talk to other people and to help them as much as I could. And then Brad Lomark started to call the Black Panthers, told them to get their bodies over there, bring some food, and then call other churches, which they did.
Yeah.
The first day. And he was a very, very instrumental person in pulling that along. And it was just wonderful once things started to happen. People started to call different organizations. And then the mayor, I think, came down a little later. and asked us what we needed, and they were a great help. I think the last people were coming to the party was the TV, but Evan White was there first of all. He stayed the whole way and made sure that we were recorded and got record. And what a funny thing that was at the end or in the middle of the demonstration, that there was a strike in the country, and he negotiated to have us at the front when we did the candlelight vigil later on in Washington, D.C. But I was singing the first day, and I was up the first day. I hadn't slept. I was just walking around talking to people, making sure everybody was okay. And then the second day I started singing again just to make sure people were okay, calming them down. And I got called over by Brad Lomax's brother. And he said, "Hey, come here. I want to talk to you." And he said, well, we've been watching you, and you've been out here. You had no fear. So, would you like to become a Black Panther? And it took me about 14 seconds to say yes.
Wow.
So then I became I said, "Is that all there is to it?" He said, "Yeah, go do your thing." So I went and started doing my thing and met a lot of people. I really love this gentleman right here on the phone with me. I love a lot of people who were no longer with us that were incredible. Thanks to Howland, we got a lot of photos and things of that nature.
Oh, yeah.
And then the churches started to come in. The churches started to come in because the deaf people found the way for them to get messages out on the street and pull things up over the door into the second floor, and brought food, brought medical, and they were able to open the doors and keep the doors open for medical and for hairdressers and bringing lots of food, vitamins, water. And I lost my voice. I did. You're right. All I could do is wave my hands, so I started stomping my feet and stuff like that, and clapping and clapping and clapping. And I remember one time I was up, I think, for 5 days straight, 6 days, and I had to go lie down for a minute because I had no sleep. And so they started to make sure I was all right and doing that okay. And then I had to say, no, I got to get back up. These people need to make sure we're going to be okay. And that's how that started. Yeah.
You're a hero, man. You are truly one of the heroes.
Well, I was at the right place at the right time, my man. I didn't know what my role was. All I had to do was think fast on my feet and make sure my people were, which was everybody. Yeah. All my people were calmed and didn't feel anything. And I did a meditation. I think either my first or the second day. And I started talking about meditation, breathing in and breathing slow and doing that kind of stuff. And I still meditate today, 50 years later, doing well with that. I think that saved my life. I know it did. But I believe that that was one of the things that really helped us, is learning how to calm ourselves down and calming and getting our breath and getting our toeholds so we could think and be more organized and be more sharper and just feel great with each other and work with each other. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a Mary Jane Owen who was one of the leaders of the demonstration, used her background in the civil rights era, and she spent a couple of days reaching out to all the churches, developed a pamphlet, and just kept talking to the churches because she knew that could be one of the strengths. And I remember that during the first the program before we moved into the building, among the people that were speaking were some of the giants. Well, we're the giants of the San Francisco civil rights movement. People like Willie Brown and what's the ministers?
I can't remember.
Glide Memorial. Clyde Memorial Churches. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're right. I just don't remember everybody who was there. But you're absolutely. Some of the great giants of San Francisco came through. Glide came through with a lot of food and a lot of stuff. Plus Willie Brown, well, he was the head of Glide at that time, I think. And the mayor came through. Moscone came through, bringing food and other financial estates with him. You're right. Yeah.
And Dennis and Jeff, this is Alice again, and the stories that I've read in Holland's book, that there were also like senators came, and I believe Senator Bond came. Is that correct? And you all had some hearings in the building before you went to DC?
Yeah. Bert, what's his name? Bert, Senator Burton. Both of them came.
Well, yeah. Who was killed at the airstrip?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's right. And another senator, congressman came. And I can't remember everything. I'll have to go back and look. I've been looking through some notes and stuff like that. Of all the people who came, and I have to go back and look.
Yeah, you're rattling old brain cells.
You ain't kidding.
Was there something specific that happened that made you know that this was something you know amazing that was happening? Was there like a turning point, or was it something that just gradually the momentum happened?
Oh wow, that's a good question, huh?
Holland's book.
Yeah, here. This is Holland's book that Dennis is talking about.
Let me hold it better and get it up here.
This is becoming real in 24
See if I can get
days.
Camera.
There's another book too. Someone told me that was written a little later, I think. But this is probably the definitive book as far as
I can't
getting a lot of the original pictures and stuff like that. What happened? It happened kind of gradual. I think, because we wasn't sure from day to day if anything significant. I think the third day when we started to really start putting together pieces like hearings and getting people in the building and making sure people were fed and having nurses and things like that gave me a strength of some witness to, like, all right, we're going to go through with it. We don't know the outcome yet, but we're going to go. We have a step to go up, and so those were some of the foundations that gave us a lot of hope and a lot of help and making sure that, well, maybe we do have a way. We have a voice now, and maybe we got an opening for and a direction and a purpose for things to happen.
Yeah, I think that the combination of that sort of organic development and the leadership that we had, people like Judy Heumann and Mary Jane Owen, who I keep mentioning, had such history with the civil rights movement that they understood the tools of the trade. And Judy had been involved in a sit-in in New York City that went on for some time. But it was her concept to just move in and stay and not leave. And people realized what it was about, and what Dennis was saying about, for example, nursing. There was a nurse that worked at CIL named Edna Breen, and she showed up and began to collect people's prescriptions and see what people needed in terms of just the medical side. And we developed things like took a cardboard box over an air conditioner outlet for the medicines that needed to be refrigerated. And yeah, it was a very just remarkable ingenuity fest of how we.
It was ingenious, man. They had never seen anything like that before.
Well, I have a question. So this is Theo. I mean, I'm curious, do any of you have any autobiography of yourselves or a biography of yourselves? I know there is a book that just came out about Ed Roberts, an independent man, Ed Roberts and the Fight for Disability Rights, written by Scott Danforth. But among yourselves, do we have any biography or autobiography about yourselves?
There's one.
Yes, I have
yeah, you have one too, huh? Mine is.
Yeah,
mine
go ahead, Dennis.
I have one written by The Guardian in London about 4 years ago, called an autobiography. It's a short story about maybe 20, 25 minutes. I'm working on a book, a full-fledged book about a lot of stuff that I'm remembering, but there is one on The Guardian. If you put in my name, it talks about a fire intervention at 504 there.
Okay, intervention. What is the name of the book?
It is a story. It's called the Fiery Intervention of 504. And it's written by English, The Guardian newspaper.
Wow.
Okay. And
Dennis, this is Alice.
I-
I think I have that link. I think you sent that to me. I'll see if I can put it in the chat.
yeah, put that one is a pretty good one. The English were really nice because they waited a couple weeks for me to get set to do this one, and they actually sent a reporter to San Francisco to do the pictures and everything. So they were really nice. I am working on a book. It's taking me a lot of. Yeah, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my wife is just asking it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. It's okay. I am working on a book. Everybody's been pushing me to work on a book. But since I've gotten sick, I really hadn't done anything. But now that I'm really well, this book will be coming out very, very soon now. You'll be hearing a lot of different stories and stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
I wrote a
thanks
book,
to Alice and other people.
This is Alice again, and my hope is that Dennis and I are going to have a children's book. I'm trying to write his story, and it's hard doing it long distance. We haven't met up in person yet, but we're going to try that again. COVID intervened, and so hopefully the story will get out somehow or another, whether it's a self-publish or a grant.
Yeah, this has been what, 6 years, Alice? I think 5 or 6 years we've been working on it.
Yes.
So.
Oh, what book is that? Jeff Moyers has a book.
That's
Jeff. This is my book, Grit, a family memoir on adversity and triumph.
I'll put it in the chat.
Right.
Yeah, can you put it in the chat?
Sharon, can you pin him right quick so we can see the book, please?
And also put
What
it
do I
in the
need to
chat.
To the right, like this?
It's weird.
We can't see it. Can you put it in the chat?
Yeah, I will put it in the chat. I don't know why we can't get it to come up on the screen. We had it there for a minute.
It seems like you
A
have
New
a
York minute.
blue background that's kind of like floating. So
Yeah. Okay, I'll put it in the chat. It's on Amazon.
Yeah, it's also a talking book, Dennis. If you,
Oh, is
if you
it?
use talking book.
Right on.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
And the Guardian article, it's www.theguardian.com/society/series/black-lives. And that's the article about Dennis.
So, what is the name of the article? I can see many people here, Shirley Thompson, I don't know.
Family memoir.
Grit, a family memoir on adversity and triumph.
On adversity.
Yeah, my book covers a great deal about my brother who lived with a severe cognitive disability and was institutionalized. I got him out, but it covers the 504, but it's about the arc of my life in total.
Right on. Good one, man. Right on.
And talking.
Yeah. And I put, I think that was Theo, I put the exact article from The Guardian in the chat as well, because the link that was shared before had a whole bunch of them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Terrific.
Thanks,
There's a
Sharon.
couple other articles as well that I have to remember. The 504 45th anniversary is on there. You can pull that one up. The Obama second Crip Camp 2. I'm in that one. There's a couple other ones that are that are on the web. That if you put my name through, you'll find it there as well.
So how do they get talking book signed?
Just say National Library Service.
Yeah.
Yeah,
National
NLS.
Library Service. NLS Books for the Blind.
Yeah. Right on, man.
Yeah, I was really pleased they recorded it. I have other books that they were interested in recording, but they said that their waiting list right now to get books recorded goes back to titles written in 1997. So it'll be a long time before they get around to it.
Mm-hmm. But you got it coming though. That's good.
Thanks. Yeah. You know what? If you have a book, it helps.
Yes, if you have a lot of videos, it helps. That's what's been helping me.
Oh, yes.
That's
Absolutely.
I just put Dennis, this is Alice, and I put the YouTube of you and Judy in the chat.
Oh, cool.
All right.
Cool.
Save on insurance, Liberty Bippity. Soon. Soon's? Oh, I love those words. Your last chance to disappear until summer and come back unrecognizable.
I don't want to come back unrecognizable.
Yeah, I know.
I just want to make sure I come back. What was that about?
Thank
What
you.
was that little...
Thank you.
My apologies, this
after
is
my-
Alice. That video leaked through it was the end of Judy and Dennis's. It kind of went on to the next thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is weird. It's just not taking it.
It's not taking it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll try to unblur.
This is Theo again. I have a question. So you guys, during that period, I mean, that was, I don't know whether to call it a climax.
There we go.
The grit, I can see it. But
There
nonetheless,
it is. Yeah.
yeah, so I have a question. Yeah, I can see the book. I've also seen it.
Okay.
I've also seen it
And
on,
then this is
on Amazon. So
This is Holland's book. Move your hand down.
Oh.
There you go.
yeah, I can see it becoming real in the 21 days? Yeah, so
24 days.
24 days.
24 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will order it for myself and for the library, college library. Now, my question is, you guys were very active in the especially the climax. I want to think it was a climax. Let me describe it so in 1977 when you guys had a sit-in. But nonetheless, you are very youthful people. So I'm wondering, how was your families viewing your demonstration? Did you have family support? Were they worried you fighting the system? I'm just curious.
I'll go first on this one. I got a call to the door from the people inside saying that your sister and mother and brother were there, and they want to give you some pants and shirts and a pack of cigarettes.
So they supported
So
it.
yeah, they supported it.
I was married with an infant son, and every minute that I was at the demonstration meant that I wasn't at home being an active father. And we learned many years later that our son had ADHD in the upper 1 percentile of severity. So he was just a real busy, intense child. And it was a hardship on my wife for me to be involved in the demonstration. And she wasn't real happy with it. So what I did came in, not opposition, but I had her opposition was part of what I was dealing with.
Different wife.
Different wife. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. No worries.
Yeah,
no
I mean,
worries.
there were costs to pay.
Sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There were costs to pay. I got married at the end of the sit-in, so mine was completely different. So I
Did you marry someone from the demonstration, Dennis?
No. I called this lady up at 3:00 in the morning, asked her to marry me, and she said yes. It was one of those lucky things.
Wow. A good call.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, she's passed along with my sister Deborah. I don't know if you knew my Deborah. Deborah was my twin sister. She was also blind. She was also very helpful, and she really pushed me along to make sure I was in the building, by the way. She wanted to make sure. She goes, please go, Dennis. Please, please, please. You have a big voice, plus you know what to say around cameras, because I'd been with the Lighthouse and been with the Rose Resnick group. And they'd always ask me to do speaking and things of that nature. So I know exactly what that was all about. And so she really made sure to please get in there. And once I was in there, she was really, really happy. They're going to win. They're going to win. My brother's in there. They're going to win. That's what she kept telling everybody. I said, we don't know. She kept saying, they're going to win. They're going to win. My brother's in there. Oh, it was nice. It was nice.
So this is a question for both of you, both Dennis and Jeff. So do you see the 504 sit-ins as being like you have a life before and a life after the 504 sit-ins, or was it sort of a punctuation mark in your life, or was there really a before and after?
You want to start yours, Jeff? Because
no, go ahead, Dennis. I'm kind of
mine was different. I thought it was before and after, and that would be it. And because I was married for 32 years to my wife before she passed. After she passed, happy marriage though. I had a good one.
Is that all you're gonna say?
No, it isn't. I met a lot of people during the group, but I got a call from Emily Smith-Vedix, and they wanted to know about the 504 sit-in. I'm saying, like, well, there's a lot of people alive. This is in 2012, 2013. And I'm saying, well, there's a lot of people that were available that could tell you a lot more about the sit-in than I can. And she came back to me with, everybody said my name. And we want to talk to you. And we want to talk to you now. So that's after my wife passed and my sister passed. But it gave me the direction and energy from those passings to drive forward with my life and to, make something better of it and not fight for any depression or a loss this, but fight for humanity again. And the other wake-up call was Crip Camp, because I didn't know I was going to be in Crip Camp either. That was a total surprise until James LeBrett called me up, talk about, would you like to come to my office? We want to talk to you about being in a movie. And I'm saying, like, well, okay. What would I have to do? They said nothing. We've got all the pictures and sound already. So, and that's how I met Evan, saw Evan White again. So it's been a brand new life, a very successful one. And it doesn't have to include money. It's just the fact that I had a cause, a purpose, and a direction to go to help humanity be better. And that's all I really wanted out of the 504, to make humanity better and recognize disabled persons as geniuses and have the mark of helping them move along in society to make sure that society could be a better place to live. Yeah.
For me, 504 was a piece of a lifetime of demonstrating and being involved as an activist. And it coming out of Berkeley, I went to the University of California, Berkeley, and then went to work at Center for Independent Living. So I was very much immersed in that world. But 504 taught me about the importance of the continuum of intention. The intent of Congress is passed in law, but then only when there are regulations for the law is the intent realized. And the regulations for 504 became, for many people, it helped us understand the continuum of law, particularly the regulatory process, and getting the language and the intent of the meaning of the law into regulation. So I think it was for many of us a kind of a lesson in civics.
I heard that.
An active lesson, being active in the process.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question? I'm not sure if I answered it or not.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Honey,
You know what?
I know you did something. It's in my hearing aids. Hold on.
No, it stopped talking, honey.
It's because it's coming through my hearing aids. Hold on a minute. Let's see if I can fix it. I don't know if I can. Hold on a minute.
Okay. And now that we're
I'll take my hearing aids out.
That's okay.
I have to take my
Now that
hearing
we're
aids
in civics books, history books.
Yeah, at this point,
out. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
I have to turn my hearing aids off.
Okay.
Okay, it should be okay now. Try it.
Okay, can you now? I'm trying.
Yes, we can hear you, Jeff.
Okay, good. So I'm
Do that.
trying to get it onto the speakerphone.
But you can't, your phone's different than mine.
Oh,
Ah,
All right, let's see if that's loud enough. Try that. But don't put it up to your face.
I hear you. Okay. Let's see if you can hear me and if I can hear you.
oh yeah, we can hear you, buddy. You good?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay,
you fine.
Okay, you have the volume of a standard handset about a foot away from me, so I can hear you, but not loudly.
Okay.
Okay. So,
I'm curious if either one of you grew up with any particular heroes in the movement that came before you.
Oh, that's a good question. Ooh. Let me see. There was a couple of Black Panthers who I really, this one is still living. Mumia Amal-Jamal is one of my favorite heroes. Because he lasted so long and he's written so much and he helped change a lot of things. Hopefully they'll let him out real soon. He was my hero because I got a chance to listen to him week by week. But there was a lot of heroes from the Black Panther movement. And I wasn't able to go to a lot of meetings for them because of what was going on here in the city. We had the zebra killings and we had a whole bunch of other stuff happen here in the city. And my parents just didn't think it was good enough for a blind Black man to just be out there by themselves, come up missing real easy. But
how
yeah,
old were you in 77?
How old was I?
Yeah.
24.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 73 now.
And thankfully going strong.
Oh yeah. We ain't slowing down, baby. We good. We good. We ain't slowing down. I got a lot to tell you guys about what it's like trying to fight an illness you didn't know you were going to have, and to enjoy the other side of your life and getting a renewal on life, which was truly remarkable and blessed. And I started the 504 meeting when I was 6, so I had to continue, and it made me continue and not give up at all. So it was an intention to keep it going until everything was either finalized or until I came out ahead. And during that time, it was really funny because I started singing when I got my treatment was radiation, and they've never had anybody do that before. So I was one of those people that was like, he's singing instead of trying to, do this stuff. And I figured if I was going to go out like this, I wanted to go out happy and free and peaceful.
Wow.
That's the goal. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I've lost thread of the question.
Oh, heroes.
Heroes,
They
yeah.
want to know
Oh, heroes, yeah, heroes. Yeah, I was a member of the National Federation of the Blind, and there were certainly a lot of people that I met that were I thought very powerful advocates. But when I got to Berkeley and saw the power of coalition, people with different disabilities working together, I realized that was where the power that I wanted to align myself with was. So my heroes, once I became involved with that movement, probably began with Ed Roberts, who was my mentor, my friend. He hired me at CIL. He established the Disabled Students Program at Berkeley, which enabled me to study on campus in an accessible, what's called the Blind Student Study in the undergraduate library, all part of what the Ed and his cadre that established the Disabled Students Program there, and then CIL were able to become established before I got there. But yeah, Ed Roberts was, and his mother, Zona Roberts, who I've done her oral history, and we were good friends up until her passing. And she really helped me understand the power of the kind of family support that made Ed's life possible. It gave him the ability to do what he did, because his family, entire family, moved with him to Berkeley and supported him so fully. But there were many people in the demonstration that were, and we've mentioned all the big three. Judy Heumann, of course, that went on to have a very powerful life as Assistant Secretary for Special Education and Rehabilitation under the Clinton administration. Is that right? Am I right about that, Dennis?
Yeah, I think you are.
And
I think you are. I think you're right.
Mary Jane Owen, that brought her knowledge of civil rights from the 40s, as I mentioned, and moved to Washington in 78, and was very active in the disability rights movement through her role as head of the National Catholic Office on People with Disabilities.
Did she help the museum there or something like that? Or I'm not sure, but she was. I don't know.
I'm sure she did.
A lot more, so. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, but Judy Heumann and Mary Jane Owen and Kitty Cohen were, it was really the disability rights movement, the leadership of it were women from Berkeley. I think that's a safe thing to say. In the early days.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Dennis, this is Alice again. You mentioned that Brad's brother came up to you. Was that while you were inside the building? And how did that all come about? So Brad's family was with him?
His brother was. His brother went everywhere with him.
Okay. And
Brother
then
went everywhere with him.
He had an attendant too, right?
Yeah.
What was his brother's name?
Jackson. He just passed not too long ago. I think it was Jackson. I saw it last night when I saw, and I'm thinking I gotta remember it again. I don't have it at my hand and fingertips at the moment, but yeah, his brother. His brother was a great part of his life. His family was pretty. He was like almost the black sheep of the family in some ways, because he thought a lot of things out of the box, and he was pretty progressive with that. And he'd been in the Black Panthers a long time. It wasn't just the 70s. I think it was even in the 60s. From what I heard when I read yesterday about doing some stuff, but yeah. So he was a pioneer, total pioneer. And he just told me, man, just keep going, keep being strong, and these people got to do right by us, and don't take no for an answer. And that was one of the things that kept me going.
And did he go with you to DC?
I'm not sure if he did or not. I've got to see on the roll who was. There was only 14 people allowed to go. I think it was 14 people allowed to go. And so I gotta see if he went to DC with us or not. I cannot remember. I'll be honest with you, because I don't know. They weren't going to let me go at first, because there were just so many other people and the other people they needed to go. And then somebody spoke up for me and said, "You're not going to bring Dennis, to go." So they decided, well, we better bring somebody who has a bigger voice than they did, and I was able to go. And that was really beneficial, not only for me, but I was the one who instigated the candlelight vigil, and I've never been able to do that if I wasn't there. So I was able to, when we got to DC, the first hours of DC, we were planning to figure out what the hell we were going to do. And by this time, I had already figured out these people don't think we for real. They just think we're a bunch of people who are just demonstrating. And I'm saying, like, we got to stand out. I know that about the civil rights movements. If you don't come with something, you're not going to get anything. So I said, we're different than that. So I decided to make sure that we had a vote on going out to Califano's house and doing a candlelight vigil. Started that one.
That was brilliant, going to his home.
Yeah, it was.
Going to his home was brilliant.
Yeah, it was. You're right. Right.
But I understand when you guys got there, could you explain whether you had an opportunity to meet with him or if he disappeared through other ways?
We could tell you, my brother, we could tell you that one. I can.
Yeah, I'm interested in that.
Are you? The way I'm laughing.
Yeah, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in that because this is a public figure and you guys were raising serious matters. And I know that the previous administration from Nixon to who was next to Nixon, after Nixon was
Ford.
Yeah, so those earlier administrators were cagey. They were slippery. They never wanted to sign Section 544. So can you talk more about how you guys approached the Hugh Secretary, Health and I don't know what, Human Services Secretary?
Califano.
Yeah,
Joseph Califano. Yeah.
He went out the back door of his house. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, so he disappeared through the back door?
Yes, sir.
Interesting. I mean, I have a question. Could you elaborate on the means of transportation? Because I guess if you compare the 1970 means of transportation to the current means of transportation, I want to believe, because you guys by then is when you guys were fighting to change accessibility and many other things. I'm just curious, what was the means of transportation like, especially for wheelchair users? And I want to believe even the wheelchairs by then were so cumbersome.
It was. You're right. We were loaded into a big car. I think the Machinists Union, who later came in, they were really, really helpful. The Machinists Union of San Francisco and the United States was one of the big hands that really helped us out and gave us a financial strength. But yes, They brought us to
But
a Lutheran.
if I'm not mistaken, didn't you ride in the back of a U-Haul truck? Kind of everyone just piled in.
Yeah, everybody. That's exactly what I was trying to tell them. You're right. Yeah.
That was tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you guys sacrificed a lot. You need respect. You need.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you.
Yeah, Dennis and company did. Yes.
You did too.
I was a bit. I was a bit player.
Yes, you are.
I mean, the music was important, but it gave me a visibility that was beyond what I was due. Because, as I said, I was a young father, and my responsibilities at home took precedence. So I was in and out.
Okay.
But Dennis,
But
this
you
is
there.
Ellen.
You're shortchanging yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So where did you all sleep
I'm
in
sorry.
DC?
In a Lutheran church that they found for us that would take us in. And we slept there for, I forgot how many days, 3, 4, 5 days, I think about that. Yeah. And on the floor, one of those. Yeah. That's a good question because not many people ask us that one. So that's a good one.
But it was hardship, Dennis.
Huh?
I said it was with real hardship.
Yeah. Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
I remember the story, sleeping on pews and on the hard church floor. It was not easy.
I lost a cane. I think in the movie, I think that's true. I forgot where I put it. I always forget where I put my cane. I lost a cane 2 weeks ago. So yeah, you're right. It was really a hardship. It was we were very focused. There's a good picture. You can see, my man. I don't know where you're from, but if you go to the Ed Roberts building, they had a huge picture of me, and you can see the intensity on my face. They keep saying, so it's a huge. I don't know if Carlos can find it, but it's in the Ed Roberts building.
That's the building.
That's wonderful.
Is that at the University of California, Berkeley?
Yes.
Okay, I've never been there, but I'm planning to go there.
It's the Ed Roberts building is a multi-story office building that contains offices for a lot of disability rights organizations, and it was built over a BART station for accessibility. So it definitely is it'd be a really good place to go. You can see a lot about accessible design, but also how the vision for accessible design really was wheelchair centric.
Yeah.
And the needs of people like Dennis and myself, particularly orientation and signage, happened much later, and the Republicans blocked the highway bill in 2010, which contained, we intended to make Washington, D.C. the first fully accessible city for people with all disabilities in the world through accessible signage for transportation and public places and fixed signage. But that we weren't thinking that way in the 70s. It was the rule we had was the first thing is get everyone into the building. I'm speaking hypothetically or theoretically, but getting people in wheelchairs to a building and into the front door was our first priority. And I always thought, well, if you're blind, you can always ask someone where something is or grab a shoulder and walk on.
Right.
But yeah, we were not, our priorities were not the first priorities that we were addressing. It was wheelchair access.
Yeah.
Is that fair, Dennis?
It is fair. Yes, it is. Because when you see the Ed Roberts thing, they have ramps and everything. They have, I don't know if they have an elevator, but they have ramps, and it's a circle, or it's very nicely done with a universal look. But there's a picture of a lot of the people who were in the building, including mine, in that building. Yeah.
I have a question. I'm wondering if you were aware of, or if you could talk a little bit about the participation of the psychiatric survivor community, because they were very active in Berkeley at that time.
I remember during the demonstration, there was one guy who was a psychiatric survivor, and I think his mother was involved as well. Do you remember that, Dennis?
Don't. I don't.
Yeah, if I'm sure they were involved.
Oh yeah,
but
I'm pretty sure they were involved too. I'm pretty sure. I just don't remember. That part of it. That nuances of the secretary. I'm pretty sure they were there though.
Mm.
Yeah, it much about 504 was documented after the fact, but as it was happening, I don't think we were aware of the historic importance and the impact of what we were doing. I don't think we really could have imagined it, because it
was different, and it needed to happen. And if you looked at it at a big picture, it was like, will they really start doing stuff to help us? And like 50 years later, it's like life is so much different. There's more to be done, just like you're saying, my man. There's more to be done, but without ramps and braille on the wall and accessibility and learning stuff, and getting disabled kids into college and to universities and to lawyers and doctors and whatever they want to be, would not have happened because of that. And so with my friend here, we're very glad as far as the not only success, but that we opened up humanity a little bit. And that's what was, that was my aim. And I know that was your aim as well, to make society and everything listen, and to show them the geniuses are no matter if their disability, their disability. And it's been proven again and again and again that people with disability have such an incredible rate of higher quality of life, as well as the focused ability to change at any time and to have purpose in life to make society better. Yeah.
This is I was thinking of the earlier discussion about younger people and sort of the lack of awareness of disability rights as a movement in a community. For a while, I was teaching the history of disability advocacy at UMass Amherst, and students, the undergrads, were really smart. They were really savvy, much more so, I have to say, than I was at that age. But at the same time, they, you'd say things like, well, ramps had to be fought for, curb cuts had to be fought for. and they'd be incredulous, like who
Yeah.
who could possibly be, you mean you couldn't get into a courthouse or a hospital even, or it's like, yeah, right. And and then, to talk about
Couldn't get across the street.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I mean, it's just, it's difficult for them to believe, and for some of them anyway, to believe that these things were true. And then when you get into discussions about what the institutions were like, places like Penhurst and Willowbrook,
Yeah.
I mean, they're just, the English phrase, they're gobsmacked. They're just, I could just see it on people's faces, just like, really, people were treated like that just because they had a disability. And it's like, yeah, that's the way it was. And
This
within,
is the
Yeah. My
interpreter.
book.
Hello, this is the interpreter. Some people's voices I know, some I do not. So if we could please say our name like Theo does, because I really can't see your names in this little bitty writing.
Oh,
sorry
Thank
about
I'm
that.
sorry. Sure.
Yeah, I'm Fred Pelka, Pelka, and I don't talk very much.
But everything he says is important. And this is Susan.
I have early dementia, and my memory is terrible. But I'm trying to remember what the question is, because I wanted to add something. I'm sorry. This is Jeff Moyer. Yeah. So what was the theme we're talking about here?
Good question. I don't know where we started.
I'm gonna look on the transcript. This is Sharon, but also Michelle's video is frozen. I don't know if you can tell that, Michelle. Let me look at the transcript while we figure that out.
No, I can't. Is it still frozen now?
It is. Do you want to try turning it off and back on? Oh, wait, you're moving, but now it's like chunky, like
Yeah, it's like in slow motion, Michelle. This is
let's see, transcript.
Is it better now?
no, not really. Just slow.
Here's the transcript. Oh.
So Dennis and Jeff, both. Is there something you're most proud of in terms of what you accomplished in the disability movement?
Mine is very personal. I was able to get my brother out of a state institution and establish a home for him in the community, a supported living home, and I gave him a life. And took a lot of effort, years of advocacy, and slowly pulling him up the food chain of accessible housing. But that, yeah, mine is quite personal, because it was freeing my brother.
It was personal for
How about you, Dennis?
But if you hadn't done it, there's so many people who came after that never would have gotten free.
That's right.
Yes, I think that's right.
That's right. No, it is. It is. The intention of doing that, you open the doors for a lot of other people in his situation and other situations to climb up the food chain and to be free, or at least have a happier life, which they one would have not had. Can I ask you a question? When is your birthday?
Mine? No, not me. Who?
You. When's your birthday?
Okay, Dennis, are you talking to Jeff?
Yeah.
What did you ask me?
When's your birthday?
Oh, February 2049. I'm 77.
Yeah. See? Yeah, October 13th, 1952.
October 13th.
Yeah.
Auspicious.
I'm a Libra, so I know, and you're a Pisces, almost like Pisces.
This is Alice. I believe, Sharon, you've got a calendar, don't you, of birthdays? I think you were asking about Dennis's. So now you've got
I
Jeff's too.
do. I do. I would love that. We do. We have we find that sometimes you just have 2 minutes to bring something up, and having a calendar of dates and people and things is one way that we can have disabled people represented. So yeah, I'm looking for birthdays for sure.
Oh,
And I think before, this is Alice again, I think before Jeff, Fred was just bringing up the important, but I don't think we can talk about it enough, that the younger people, like, what do you mean there were no ramps? You know, it's kind of like, what do you mean there was no internet? You know, that you had to go to a card catalog. You know, my daughter's 26, and so sometimes there are just things that, you know, they just don't understand because it seems so natural to have them. That there's a curb cut, or that there's a ramp, or to notice when there isn't one, or there isn't an accommodation. So I don't know what more we can say than that. But Fred, I think you bring up that point that we have to keep telling the younger people about this and finding the ways to get it across, and get it into the K-12 curriculum, not just a couple times a year. But yeah, they just don't, they have no idea.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to realize that that accessibility really hit two areas with great fervor: wheelchair access and access to communication through sign language.
Mm-hmm.
But other than those two beachheads, I think we stalled. I don't, you know, for example, when it comes to, as I was talking about accessible signage, that's just didn't happen. You know, it certainly should have. But Braille on a wall, how do you find it? How do you know where the Braille is? So blindness is really, I think, been, and it's partly the fault of the organizations that purport to speak on behalf of people with visual disabilities. The National Federation of the Blind, for example, said, no, we don't need anything. We don't need any accommodations.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah. So I think that if you have someone at the table that's saying, we're taken care of, we don't need anything, well, there's certainly a lot of other people that do have needs that they're going to say, yes, we have unmet accessibility needs.
Tactile.
There are rules.
There
are rules about where the signage is supposed to be. I mean, exact rules, not even.
Exactly, yeah.
But they're not followed.
There's
52 inches from the finished floor and on the non-hinge side of the door and all that. But
I was at I'm sorry, I didn't need to interrupt.
Not at all.
Oh, anyway, this is Fred Pelka again. I was at I was in a building. I won't identify the school because I think they're doing better now. But I was on a campus and I saw Braille dots, you know, where I thought they were supposed to be. And I thought, oh, how cool, you know? And then I went up to them. I went up to where they were, and they weren't actually Braille dots. It was a sheet of paper with dots on the paper in Braille. so that's like Potemkin access, you know. It's like, so people like me would go by and go, oh, how cool, Braille signage. And but you know, I have a habit of brushing it to confirm it. But I thought that was very, Americans in general. I can't generalize about other peoples. But we're not very good at history. I mean, so it's not surprising that disability history is also a kind of neglected field. I think history in general often. I mean, we had a vice presidential candidate who didn't know that our primary opponents in World War II were Germany and Japan, right? So hey.
Well, Brown versus the Board of Education was really one of the earliest disability measures that were done, and yet it's never put in that context.
And disability came up in the oral arguments before the Supreme Court. The attorney arguing in favor of segregation actually made the argument. He said, well, if you desegregate schools on the basis of race, how are you going to prohibit discrimination on the basis of gender or disability? And it's like, yeah, thank you for that. But he was raising it as, oh my God, if you let Black people into the schools, next thing you know, women are going to be allowed in, and kids with disabilities, and what a horrible thing that's going to be. So luckily that didn't prevail. I don't know if it were argued today, I don't know what the outcome would be.
Yeah, quite.
There was Thurgood Marshall, who was one of the main attorneys arguing for school desegregation. And he had actually corresponded with, if I'm pronouncing this right, Jacobus ten Broek, because
Jacobus ten Broek, yeah.
Yeah, he'd written a book called The Anti-Slavery Origins of the 14th Amendment. And that book was a text that the attorneys arguing the Brown cases used quite extensively. So there are all these connections.
Man, I haven't heard from you in a while. I thank you for bringing all of that up. It was good to hear you.
Thank you.
So Dennis, we didn't get a chance to hear you. What's your proudest accomplishment in the disability movement?
Oh, we woke up humanity. That's the proudest thing. We woke up humanity, the intention of greater love and greater insight for each other. We worked in that building together, no matter what race, what color, what gender. We worked together, and we made sure things got done, and make sure we were there with intention, with purpose, and graciousness to hold each other's hands, hug each other, love each other as human beings, and we raised society. Maybe a little bit, but we did raise society enough for hopefully things can happen for the future. And that's probably the biggest thing I get out of it, because of the fact that I'm a meditator, and being partially blind of a blind sister, that was our goal, is to make society just a little bit better for all disabled persons. Yeah. Including myself.
Of course, I mean, you need to put yourself in the picture before you can fight for the rest of the community. I mean, unless you have understanding of your own identity, you may not be in a better position to fight for the bigger society's rights. But I think what you guys did was a big sacrifice, because especially when I look at the beneficiaries of the disability rights movement, unfortunately, majority of the beneficiaries are not people with disabilities themselves. That's the unfortunate part of it, because many of the people who are very much opposed to the disability rights movement, once they saw the fruits there are people who have been using those opportunities just by the virtue that they have better access to information. They can drive and go to those specific locations that require government input or non-government input. Disability rights movement led to many changes here in the United States and globally, because many international organizations actually adopted many of the tenets that the disability rights movement started here in the United States. Some of the concepts that were adopted, let's say, by the United Nations and later propagated worldwide were as a result of the 1977 sit-in demonstration. And that's why in 1981, the United Nations declared it a decade, international decade for disabilities. And it led to the establishment of International Disabled Peoples Organization and then International Rehabilitation, whatever, many other organizations as a result of your input. So it was not a mere sacrifice. It was a serious sacrifice.
This is Alice. This has been a wonderful conversation, but we didn't take a usual break. So we're wondering if we could go ahead and stop the recording, and people can stay on the call and let our marvelous interpreter go and continue the conversation without her, if that's possible. And I believe Sharon's queuing up our ending video about our donation needs. So I'll let Sharon take it over, and then we'll bring the call to a close and people can stay on if they want.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to Deva's Room. Deva's Room is a virtual space open to all, seeking to bring anyone interested in disability studies together in conversation and in solidarity. Deva's Room is inspired by the life and legacy of Deva Kasnitz and her outstanding contributions to the field of disability studies. Deva's Room is volunteer-led by members of the Disability History and Culture Collective and the I Love You Lead On community. In a 2023 reflection, Deva wrote of her determination to be more comfortable in study and advocacy and to blend them together to create a diaspora of disability studies best ideas. By holding regular events led by prominent and emerging voices in disability studies, we hope to honor this mission. Deva believed in a fully inclusive world that respected everyone's communication strategies. Inclusive and accessible technology can be costly. You can help support technology expenses for Deva's Room, which will allow us to grow and expand. If you have the resources to contribute to the development and sustainability of Deva's Room, please consider donating by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting the link in the chat, donorbox.org/Deva-S-room. Thank you so much for showing up and learning together with us.
So again, to help make this space accessible, I Love You Lead On community and all of its various projects are volunteer-led. We have a variety of ways you can support our efforts to provide full access. Our work includes the Disability History and Culture Collective, DHACC, This Space, Deva's Room, Judy's Room, Justin's Room, and other events on the horizon. Donate at iloveyouleadon.com/donate. Next slide. For updated information, schedule, and registration details, visit www.iloveyou-leadon.com/Justin or bit.ly/Justin's-room. Past episodes will soon be available at the playlist on YouTube, bit.ly/Justin's Room playlist. J, R, and P are capitalized. And you can share your feedback about this event and any that you have been at in the past or in the future at https://bit.ly/ILYLO, all caps, hyphen DHACC event feedback. DHACC event and feedback are capitalized. Next slide. We have an upcoming event list. Next month, Susan, what do we have coming up on Deborah's room, which is our second Wednesday of the month, and Justin's room is third, and Judy's room is the first of the month with Mind Freedom. So if you're interested, you can go to our website and go to the events page. We have a calendar. Jeff and Dennis and anyone else on this call that's using screen reading technology, if you can take that for a test run. We've changed, Gordon, I believe you were going to do that as well, to test run and make sure that the calendar is accessible so that we can put things on the calendar. And all of our upcoming events will be there listed. So if you have any questions about that, you can let us know. Susan, do you want to take us out? And then people can stay on the call.
Yeah. The next one that we're going to be having will be Judy's room, which is the first Wednesday of the month. And that one we're going to be talking about the differences between when we want to do advocacy and we want to look at how we're trying to support others, what we're doing from an emotional standpoint, just as strictly what we feel, and what's lawful, and when those things may or may not come into conflict with each other. So it's going to hopefully be something very self-reflective. And then Deva's room next month will be Grover, who is here, talking about Lois Curtis and the contributions she made to the Olmsted Act and to outsider art. And then Justin's room will be dedicated to Diane Coleman, and Anita Cameron, who worked with Diane for many, many years, will be our lead storyteller for that. So next month should be pretty exciting. So I was wondering, Dennis and Jeff, when you think, you guys are the same age as I am, and I'm at a point in my life, and I'm sure you're at a point in your lives where you're thinking about what's going to happen until I'm not here anymore. What do I hope to accomplish? What I hope I can change before I'm gone. Do you guys have any thoughts in terms of what you think is the most important things to happen in your lifetime?
Good question. Yes. Would like to make sure that every disabled person's, even if they don't have one, name a business that they can start in case they have to put their money and things in that nature. I don't care what kind of business it is. I think that's going to be so important coming down the future. Because I think that the banks and things that we have now are not going to procure to us keeping their money there very long, since they'll be able to stop it and start it through the digital style. And you want to take your money out of there and put it into your own business so that you'll be able to control it. And that we can become self-sustained and move in a direction that we'll have some more power. Hopefully society will get better. And I'm optimistic in that. I am, no matter what's going on outside there. I do believe people are beginning to see, they saw what they don't want, and they really know what they really do want now. They had a choice. So those are just some of the things I think can happen, that you'll be able to do funding for ourselves and businesses to make sure disabled persons are self-sustainable and that can help each other be in the know of economics.
Sounds wonderful to me.
I am concerned that we hold the ground we've gained, because I think that there's I don't know that advocacy is alive and well. I think it's something that needs to be taught and practiced lifelong. Mm-hmm. But I don't see any evidence that there are that the upcoming generations have that spark. Mm-hmm. So I think we need to keep talking about the past and how we developed coalitions and developed ones for the current time and move it forward. But mm-hmm. I'm concerned.
Tomorrow there will be intermittent clouds with a high of 70.
Get the weather forecast free of charge. Mm-hmm.
Well, I'd like to thank, as always, our wonderful interpreter, Michelle. And I've stopped my recording. I think Sharon's going to stop hers, but we can continue the conversation. Thank you again, as always, Michelle.
You're welcome. Thank you all.
Thank you, Michelle.
Beautiful conversation.